Hello, it is a beautiful snowy day here in Colorado, and I've been thinking about and watching a lot of videos on finances and just had some thoughts about that, mostly because a lot of my customers calling in they want to purchase the services that we have and they can't because they don't have a dollar on the card, or they have an upfront cost because their credit is low and they don't have anything on their card. The biggest thing that I see with just the $1 on the card is, even if they have good credit, they've used up everything. Nothing in their bank account, nothing on their debit card, and then nothing on their credit card even, which means they've used up the entire balance on their credit card and don't have anything in the bank at the same time. There might be a number of reasons for that, but I wanted to address more the reasons of just using the balance for no good reason other than they wanted to spend it on things that they didn't need. And also in the savings and making sure you have some money saved up. So one of the things that I have learned from different sources of financial planning and financial advice is, first of all, once you have all of your bills paid for the month, you want to start saving for $1,000 in your bank account. So you don't want to just see, oh, okay, I have an extra $2,000 to spend this month and just spend it on something that you want. You want to have a budget, have that down to zero, and the rest after the bills, allocate that for things like savings account or other avenues. You want to have that budget down to zero so that you have allocated everything that you make for the month to something specific, and then the rest. Let's say once you're done with putting all the bills and all of your monthly expenses, have the rest allocated to savings or another avenue. So when you have that savings, start by having at least $1,000. Have that as a $1,000 goal for your bank account, to have $1,000 in there in savings. And then after that, have 3 to 6 months of savings saved up. Some people even go as far as a year, just to make sure that if something happens, if they're not able to take care of themselves, they lose their job and they have to have some time to figure that out and figure out where they're going to go for the next job, or that they have a health situation, a health crisis where they would need to pay for that and pay for not having work during that year. So have, first of all, the $1,000 in savings, and then the 3 to 6 months, and then plan for a year if you want to go that far and have even more security. And then as far as the credit card, making sure those people that don't have a dollar on the credit card, the credit card balance is not just your money to spend. I went to a financial planning class at the community college when I was in high school, and one of the students there was telling me, hey, I'm so glad that you're here and just learning about finances, because when I was in college, I got a credit card and I saw the balance that was on it, and I expected that was my balance to spend every month. And then later on, after spending the money on just frivolous things like clothes that she didn't need, she realized how much in debt she was and had to spend tons of time and money trying to pay off that balance, both she and her husband. So just seeing that credit card is not something to pay for things that you first of all, don't need, and then second of all, don't have that as your emergency savings backup plan. You need to have that $1,000 in savings and then 3 to 6 months to a year of savings for the emergency. That way you don't have to use that credit card for emergency uses. And the reason is because you want to be, if you ever use the credit card, you want that to be used for expenses that you can pay off for that year. Some people will use it to get points. So if you're using the credit card and getting points on that, at least making sure that you're paying that off by the end of the month when that's due. Because if you have money that's on the card more longer than a month, then they're going to charge you interest. So you're paying them to borrow the money. That's money that you shouldn't have to pay someone to borrow money from them for a credit card when you don't need it. There's other cases like maybe for your education where you maybe needed to borrow some money for that, which is going to be a useful way of making more income later, or having a loan for a house, things like that. Those things are different than just using a credit card for expenses that you should have had saved up for an emergency plan. So plus it has quite a bit of interest on there that you're going to be paying for just borrowing the money. If you would have had the emergency money planned and saved aside, then you wouldn't have had to spend that extra money for just borrowing it on the card. So keeping those credit cards down to zero is the best avenue. And then having emergency money saved up on the side, that is going to help you out not only in keeping and making sure that your money is in good working order, but also if you're wanting to purchase a house later, that helps the mortgage that you're going to look into keep the debt to income ratio low. And especially for that credit card, you want to make sure that even if you have some balance on there and ran into an emergency where you need to use that card, that you are at least paying the monthly amount that they have on there, so that you're not hitting your credit. So definitely look into YouTube videos and contacting your bank on how you can have a good credit score. That helps with not only mortgages, but also things like signing up for television. So like the better the credit score that you have, the lower amount that you're going to have to pay up front. For some companies, like our company, if you have low credit, you do have an activation fee, where if you don't have bad credit and your credit is good, then you don't have any activation fee at all, and you don't have to pay the monthly total up front. Whereas if you have bad credit, you're going to have to pay an activation fee and you'll have to pay the monthly total up front. Some people who have even worse credit, we don't want them as customers at all, and so there's quite a significant amount of an activation fee, so much so that most people won't even want to pay that. So you want to have it where you have good discounts, good rates on things like car insurance and utility companies, where you wouldn't have to have so much of an upfront payment, or in the long run your monthly total would be down. So there's benefits to having good credit and just saving for the future so that you are secure in your finances and you don't run into much more of an emergency. So if you have that emergency money saved up, then it's not a true emergency wouldn't feel as significant as if you that emergency doesn't seem so terrible when you have all that emergency money saved up, so you're not running into as much of a crisis situation. So All those tips just to tell you some of the things that I've been thinking about, and some tips that hopefully will help you in the long run save some money and get some discounts in the long run for things that you want to purchase. So hope those were helpful, and let me know if you have any tips and tricks on finances and saving money yourself. Have a great day.